Let's talk to former Commissioner for Information in Edo State, Kazeem Afegbua, for more on this development. The prayers of the labor union is that Nigeria, or rather government, returns to status quo and then begin to consider alternatives and how to manage the effects of this removal. Is this an option feasible given where we are with the Appropriation Act of 2023?
Well, thank you very much. I think the Labour must try to see this subsidy issue from the perspective of government, except if Labour want us to believe that they are part of the cartel. Nigeria has labored so hard, suffered in the hands of all these economic predators, economic buccaneers who have held us down in the name of subsidy. And by the time you look at the figures that we are spending on subsidy, and we are still able to hemorrhage, so to speak, then it calls for a serious, deliberate, and conscious action to be taken by a government that has the political will to do so. I think rather than Labour say we should go back to status quo, I think they should see the reality of what we have at hand and let us take off from there. That's a takeoff point. The president has said during his inaugural speech that the budget for 2023 did not capture subsidy, and that by implication it means subsidy was gone. And so the best for Labour to do is what they are doing: engage with the government, try to see a middle road solution, find alternative means of cushioning the effects of this. We're all going to feel it, but for God's sake, we must be bold to take decisions at times in such a way that the overriding interests of the people will be catered for.
Talking about the figures, Mr. Afegbua, it was pegged at some $10 billion for last year. But I'd like us to quickly talk about the corruption associated with subsidy, which is perhaps one of the reasons for the removal. With this decision as it is, and the corruption, as well as other associated leakages?
Well, when government is not paying subsidy, it means that every marketer will sell at different prices based on what their import figures present to them. If realizing that we pay subsidy, that is where the major corruption is. You see people importing fuel to the country because they know government is going to subsidize. They take half of the fuel to neighboring country to sell at high price. They still enjoy our subsidy here. I end up paying so much billions of naira, almost about 2.5 something billion per day. By the time you multiply that per month and per year, you are paying so much in the name of subsidy. I was expecting that Labour before now will have taken the marketers to task, except they want to tell us that they are collaborators. If they are not collaborators with the marketers who have held us down in the name of subsidy and fictitious claims in the name of Petroleum Equalization Fund and what have you, then Labour should see this present situation from the perspective of government so that we can collectively deal with these economic predators once and for all. But for us to continue to dwell on old style, old measures of say we have to go to status quo and all that, Labour cannot give direction to government. Government will have to give its own direction on how it wants to run the country in consultation.
If we are to consider the current situation right now, Mr. Afegbua, a situation where a liter of petrol now sells for as much as 500 naira in parts of the country, one would now ask the question, what is government going to do, with the purchasing power of the average Nigerian? Before now, Nigerians are used to different terminologies in this regard. Palliative, shorty, and now we are hearing the spokesman of the president talking about interventions. Shouldn't this intervention be coming as soon as possible if you consider the impact of the president's announcement on the cost?
It depends. You see, I think some Nigerians, particularly these marketers, are the problems of the country. Because no sooner that the president made an announcement than people started even uttering the figure at the petroleum pump price on their own meter reading. That shouldn't be the case. You would have waited for, a follow-up action by government. But before you say Jack Robinson, the whole place was littered with fuel queues and what have you. So government is not going to sit back and fold its hands and think that they won't do something to cushion the impact, the negative impact of this. But to say that we should not take this bold action, we'll be missing the point, because we have been suffering in the hands of these marketers. In the name of subsidy, we have paid billions. You mentioned $10 billion last year. If you put that one into Naira, it's over $1 trillion Naira. And so you can save money from subsidy that will be used to provide other infrastructure, other cushioning effects, other cushioning programs that will directly impact on the people, on the well-being of the people. But what I'm saying that Labour should try as much as possible to see reasons with government, and it's a new government at that, in their consultations, in their deliberations, so that in the final analysis, Labour will be seen to be taking side with government to deal with the marketers. Except Labour want us to believe that they are part of the marketers who have been enjoying this subsidy. That's where Labour will be taking a hard stance. But if Labour wants to see this from the perspective of government and the people, they should join hands with government, support government to ensure that we're able to nail this.
That's our time, Mr. Afegbua, former Commissioner for Information in Edo State. I'm afraid we have to go now. Kazeem Afegbua, thank you so much for your contribution on the news tonight.